Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, November 7th, 2022. Hope you all are having a good week and a good weekend. Thank you. And I wanted to. My wife just dropped off my coffee, so she didn't want to be on camera. That's okay. So she dropped off my coffee. I had forgotten about it, and so she went and got it for me. So right off the top, let's have some coffee and get started. Okay. So you've seen what's been going on in my videos and stuff that I've been posting, and I've been working on that trailer jig for the Mustang, and I've been using the blue Mustang, the one I called Poco, however you want to say it, and it's been coming along pretty good. I know that I've had some good feedback on that from the first video that I posted. Well, technically, let's say the second video, and then also from posts that I put on Facebook. That has also been great for feedback. And I know that one of the situations or one of the problems people had suggested was that these aftermarket parts have too much variance, let's say. So from a tooling standpoint, you look at stuff and you realize that they're not exactly the same. Everything is different from wherever they're reproduced, and the situation arises where you have a known location, let's say like a shackle mount, and then you've got a jig hole that would have been used by the factory way back when. Well, they may not have put that jig hole back at the right location. They're more concerned with the shackle mount. But when it comes to the end user, somebody like me or you that wants to put these in and use those measurements or those locations, if they're off, it doesn't help us. So I've been working on a way to have multiple pickup points on the car. And by that, what I plan to do is have a jig point on the rear of the vehicle and a detachable piece that'll hold or attach where the shackle mounts. So that'll give me two locations, and I can use either one kind of independently. I'll have a rigid post on the back that'll hold the all thread that I talked about before, and then this attachment piece that'll go to the shackle, and that's going to really, I think, make things a lot better. So it's coming along nicely. I do have probably enough, or I have plenty filmed, probably for the second, well, technically third video in the series. And then I'm going to work on making the fourth video, which will be probably some more of the attachment pieces. So anyway, just kind of getting some out there for you to think about. And I'm open to questions and comments and all that stuff. So make sure you have something. If you want, ask. So let's see who's here tonight. Right off the top, Rick Gain was here early at 6 o'clock. So he checked in nice and early. So Rick, you get a bell for being here nice and early. And of course, with the time change, that just makes it even more challenging, right? Because we fall back an hour. And I know we're all tired of this. There's a bell for everybody that's tired of the time change. But it's something we're dealing with right now. And I know that I was looking up legislation, and there are several states that are putting in to have the go back to whatever it is. I know this is standard time or daylight savings time. I don't know if this is considered standard time. I don't remember. All I know is I want it to be where it was. I don't want it at this setting anymore. And I know that there are multiple states that are applying for that to be changed, and Georgia is one of them. So I'm really hoping that it happens. I think we all can appreciate that a lot more. Some states don't even use it. I know Arizona is one of them. Hawaii is one of them. And I don't know if there's any that are specifically the whole state or not. I don't know, but I know Arizona is there. So anyway, Rick, glad you're here. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Please click on a thumbs up. Yes, Jerry, thank you. I didn't see you. I don't know if you were here last week or the last couple weeks, but I'm glad you're here. Terry Keithley, evening all. Barry, please hit the thumbs up and like button. The vote. Thank you. Then vote. Yes. I voted early, me and my wife. Make sure you vote. If you haven't already, go out tomorrow and try to make things right. Steve Grimes, good evening from super warm Central PA. I'm telling you, it is warm. Now, I know that I had a Facebook post from last, I don't know, 2 years ago where I was outside, same either today or yesterday, and I was sweating, and it was like a year or two ago. So maybe this is the norm at this point. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right now, it's probably can't see the thermometer. It's 70. It's like 75 or 74 degrees in here. I don't have the air on, but I could use it. So glad to hear Steve. Rick Stevenson, good evening, everyone. Glad you're here, Rick. We give a couple bells for those that I didn't bell yet. Troy Jessup, good evening, all. Don't forget to vote tomorrow. Yes. Evening, all from Robert. Voted last week. Yes. Good, good, good. Bob Shoemaker, good evening, all from Oklahoma, where everything is okay. Glad to hear, Bob. There's several bells for everybody. Chris Greenaway popping in to say hi before work. Well, glad you're here, Chris. Glad you stepped in, or stopped in, I should say. Mr. Mikey, 1949, good evening, all. Glad you're here. Simone, hooked on classics. Hello from a very windy and rainy UK. Glad you're here, Simone. I know it's late there. Crash Lighter from very pleasant but dark Southern Indiana. Good evening. Be sure to hit the like button. Yes, several more bells for everybody there. Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yes, that's the meme that's going around now. Crash Rider. I'm sorry, I skipped over. I was reading Crash Rider. I should have said Harvey, Rally Cat Garage. Good or happy Monday, Barry. Happy Monday to you as well, Harvey. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all these. Larry Fordyce, good evening, or good morning, all, I should say, because he's over in where? Everybody, Japan. I'm glad you're here, Larry. Simone, nice T-shirt, Barry. Thank you, Simone. This is one of my old T-shirts, and I had to get it out. I usually wear like an AC/DC shirt or something like that, but Metallica, yeah, gotta have them. Rich Reese, hello, Rich. Glad you're here. Simone, daylight saving should be scrapped here too. Yeah, I think that's kind of, I don't know if I want to say the global response right now, because we don't need it. Now, I will say I was researching this a little bit, and for whatever reason we started doing it. I know people talk about it was for farmers and it was for getting kids to school and all these. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the reality is, this affects people in a lot of ways. So you look at it from just this losing the sun, let's say, in the evening or whatever. And I know personally for me, transitioning from one to the other is just terrible. Just terrible. They talk a lot about it being bad for our psyche altogether. People get depressed and all these different things. And I know that another thing that will affect is every company that uses time as a management device. So one of those is the airlines. They have schedules that are all set up on those changes. So I know that in Georgia, they submitted to have this changed. It did pass the Senate, and it still has to pass the Congress. And then that crazy guy upstairs, the big guy in the white building, apparently he has to sign off on it too, which that could be just, you never know. You just really never know. You could put a little tag on it that says, we're going to destroy the oil industry and the coal industry and, try to destroy the economy. And if you threw that on there, they'd sign it in a heartbeat. You know that. Just saying. But anyway, there's some things they have to figure out is how these companies can adjust to their schedules and change all that. So hopefully we can get it where it needs to be. So Jerry, I've missed a couple live streams. I'm recovering from a total reverse shoulder replacement. Ouch. That does not sound pleasant at all. And he says, I'm 5 weeks in recovery and doing well. That's good. Here's some bells for doing well in your recovery. Reverse, I've never heard of that. I don't know how that works. Total reverse shoulder replacement. It sounds complicated, but I don't know what it involves. I mean, I'm obviously shoulder and the complex mechanism of the shoulder. So I'm glad you're doing well. Glad you're doing well. Let's see here. Robert, 80s all this week, 83 yesterday. Yeah, it was 80, 81, 82 here today. And I think we're going to get a little bit of a break. Um, well, I say that. Oh my goodness. Next Monday will be a low of 30, high of 51. But for the week, today a high of 83, tomorrow 76, Wednesday 66, Thursday 66, Friday 68, Saturday 59, and then it goes into the low 50s from there. So it's going to hit us. It's going to happen. It's going to get cold, but that's the way it works. That's the way it works. Simone says hi, Robert. Leonard, evening all. Yeah, Leonard, I need to send you an email, by the way. I forgot to do that, so you'll be getting one soon. Michael Pagliarini, I like the Garage Inc. shirt. My favorite 2 album. How do I read that? My favorite second album. I don't know how to read that. My favorite 2 album. Okay. Yes, it is a good album. Leonard, evening all from the windy and stormy high desert. Well, I hope all is well with you, Leonard. Let's see. Lost 2-1. Hi from cold Calgary, Canada. It's 5 degrees Fahrenheit here. Okay, so I don't want it that cold. A little bit colder. Okay. 50s, that would be fantastic. 5? No. Nope. No. Not going to do that. Don't like that. Abe Guadano. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Godino. Abe Godino. Hello from California. Hi, Abe. Glad you're here. Give you a bell for showing up. Rick, can you tell us the history of your lift and what, if any, maintenance you've had to do to it over the years? I can tell you the history of the lift. Yeah. So I don't think this company's in business anymore. This is a company. It was called Auto Lifters, and it is a 2-post lift with the cable on the floor. I did not go for the overhead cable system. All that does is it adds a tapered plate on the floor that you have to bump over with your tires. So it's not a big deal to me, but it also, you're not restricted by your height of your ceiling. That lift was actually part of I don't know I wouldn't call it a restoration, sort of a repair, rework of a 69 Corvette that I did for a friend of mine. And that car was a 427 4-speed car, and it didn't have the original 4-speed anymore. And it didn't have the original 427 either. But anyway, he knew he wanted to put in a Tremec 5-speed. And he also knew that I would be underneath the vehicle off and on, trying to get a transmission to fit a Tremec that I've never put in before. So, as part of my payment, he bought me this lift. So I don't know if I probably had some input into it, but he purchased the lift, and then I put it in. It's been here ever since. Now, maintenance, I'll be honest, I haven't done anything to it. I haven't. I checked the bolts to make sure they're tight to the floor. I probably don't have the original paperwork anymore. It does what it does. So I haven't had to do anything. I do look at the cables occasionally, make sure everything's in good shape and still attached right. But I'm happy with it. But I don't think they make that lift anymore. Or there may be something similar, but under a different name. So, good question. Thank you for asking. Busted Knuckle Garage, Birmingham here. Tommy. Glad you're here, Tommy. Robert, the farmer reason doesn't make sense. Farmers get stuff done when they need to, so they don't care what the number on the clock is. Exactly right. I know. But we've always been told that, I think. That it's some sort of thing to do with farming, and I don't know. Because they were talking about, this is what I've heard, is the farming, they had the kids doing all kinds of work for their parents, right? And so for them to get the work done, they needed daylight because school started at a certain time. And in order for them to get the daylight they needed to complete their chore or task, they had to back the clock up so that they could get that done and then be able to go to school. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I've always been told. So Simone, hope you get well soon, Jerry. Yes. And Dave, good evening. Reverse shoulder replacement. Can Jerry scratch his own back now? He might. He might be able to. Glad you're here, Dave. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Jerry says the ball and socket are reversed and is used because the rotator cuff has deteriorated to the point it is dead. Okay, let me think about that a minute. The ball and socket are reversed. So instead of the humerus having the ball, the shoulder now has the ball and the humerus has the socket. Okay. Okay. I get that. I've never seen that before, but it sounds interesting. At least I'm assuming that's what I'm hearing correctly. So thank you for letting us know, Jerry. Raleigh Pacheco, good evening all from a balmy Hampton, Virginia. Yeah, it is toasty all over right now. Glad you're here, Raleigh. Let's see. Leonard was reading an article about how people in Holland heat during the winter. Most of them only burn wood, nothing like the good old days. Only burn wood. Oh, nothing like the good old days. Okay, sorry. I needed a comma or something in there. Yeah. Now, the difficulty with some of that, or burning wood and all that sort of things, is would we even have enough to provide for the population? Well, if you're out in the country, yeah, more than likely, but everybody else is going to have to just suffer. But I remember reading articles on. My dad used to get this magazine called the Mother Earth News, and there was always some really cool stuff in there that people did or used as almost like homesteading. And one of the things was an outdoor furnace. They would actually have an outdoor furnace with the ducting plumbed underground to come up inside the house. And I don't know if it was meant to be for like a safety issue or what, or to keep the fumes out and that sort of thing. But I remember reading about that and how it would push air underground and then come up into the house. I guess it was partly about the recycling of air and that sort of thing. But it really sounded like an interesting design. I know they talk about the what do they call that? Where they put the ducts way down in the earth, and they get the heat or cool from the earth to help compensate. So like if you're in a super cold weather environment and you have basically wells built with ducting inside, then it takes the temperature from the air or deep in the earth, which is probably like, I don't know, 50 some degrees, whatever it is, depending on how deep you go. And then it applies more heat to that, which heats up your house. And that way you're not taking outside air and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Thermal. Geothermal, I think is what they called it. Anyway, getting off track. But yeah, it would be nice to be able to do that all the time though, Leonard. Mr. Mikey, working on a differential for a 6.7 coupe, 289 3-speed, basic stock machine, 355 gears seem to be the recommended size to replace originals. What would this crowd say? 8-inch pumpkin. Okay. Yeah, I think like the Jade Mustang, it's got like 310 gears in it. I know a lot of these had around a 300 gear ratio. And at 355 may be relative somewhat to where you live too, or where the car was designed to go. And what I mean by that is if you're like, in an area that had a lot of hills, they might have built cars with a taller gear, let's say, to help compensate for that. More flatland car areas may have had a 300 gear or something like that. So I understand where you're coming from, but depending on where you live, it may be beneficial to go to a lower gear ratio, just so you don't have so much RPM. Just a thought. I know running around with Jade, that it's either 300 or 310. It gets around great. So just something to consider. I'm sure we'll have some more input from everybody else. But good question. Simone, Barry, do you know do you much regarding the 69 Charger? Dylan McCool has one, but there's very little in the floor pans. A tree fell on it and crushed the roof. Okay. I don't know who Dylan McCool is, and I'm not sure what you want to know, but if you need parts for that, Auto Metal Direct is probably the resource you need to go to. AMD, Auto Metal Direct. I don't know what the plans are. If the tree fell on it, it might be kind of hard to find a donor for that. So, just a thought. Auto Metal Direct would probably have the parts for that, or at least most of them. Steve, we've been through this before. Good evening, stuck at work with no audio. Oh. I don't know how to make that happen. Sorry, Steve, but I'm glad you're here. And I know we went through this last night. Steve Willett, I think is what we were saying. I don't remember. I know you can't hear me anyway, so I can say whatever I want. Oh, you know what? Hey, while we're thinking about it, I see that it's 7:20, so I'm going to plug my clock back in. Why? Because I unplugged it. Because it made it easier. Yeah, I'm wearing shorts too because it's warm in here. Yeah. And Steve says cows don't know what time it is and farmers don't care. Yeah, you're right. I gave you a bell. Wally, Mr. Mike, are you changing the transmission as a 3-speed? As 3-speed with 355 will have to rev very high on the highway. That's what I was talking about. Thank you, Wally. Jerry, I got my engine back from the machine shop. I had 40 thousandths deck from the back and 10 thousandths from the head, installing a double roller timing chain gears. Awesome. Awesome. Question, will a steering box and steering linkages from a 66 Mustang straight 6 work on a 66 Mustang V8 car? Yes. Yeah, there should be no difference. Should be no difference. The car really doesn't care. I don't think there's really much any difference at all. Besides, when you go to 68, when it has a different steering box, because the 66 would have had the Spear, if I remember correctly, 65 and 6. And I think 67, I can't remember exactly the transitional point. I know 68 has the collapsible steering, but it should not make a difference. Good question. Troy, I was always told the time change was to save energy. Companies wouldn't have to have lights on as long. If so, it didn't work. Well, okay. I never heard that, but I'll give you a bell for it. It's a good, I don't know. Dave Conville, Jerry, that's fascinating. I never heard of that. Get well soon. Yeah, that's a different approach. When I think about the shoulder, it's kind of like a tie rod. You think about kind of like a tie rod connection, right? And I guess it would work with either way. You could either have the ball joint on the tie rod end, or you could have the ball joint on the knuckle, the steering knuckle, and have it bolt reverse. So I guess it makes sense. Jerry, the rockers are in California for upgrades and will provide a lift support for the 474 lift valve lift. Stock was 380 lift. Oh, wow. That's a big jump. And then Jerry also says it's all about horsepower and torque. The i6 should double horsepower and torque. That'll be impressive. I hope you get a good result from that. I really do. I don't know if you're going to do a dyno on it, but that would be kind of interesting to see what you can come up with. Let's see. Dave, geothermal heat pump. Yeah. There we go. Thank you for that, Dave. Robert is talking to Abe. The steering box from the i6 will work, but everything else, including spindles and hubs, will need to be changed to V8 5-lug stuff. Yes, I should have mentioned that as well, because it's too light duty for the V8. I mean, people have done it, but I wouldn't. I would convert everything over, make it a lot stronger. So thank you, Robert. Steve says lots of outside furnaces in this area. Yep. I'm not sure exactly what the reason overall that was for, but I remember reading about those. Jerry says, yes, I can scratch my back if I, like a cow, use the door frame to provide the pressure point. You just need one of those old wooden spoon things you sell at the yard sales and flea markets, whatever. They got the wooden spoon back scratcher. Robert, gear ratio depends a lot on your usage. Is it driving around town or are you going to be on the freeway a lot? I will be going with a low numeric because of high freeway speeds. Yes. Good point. Mr. Mikey's talking to Wally. Make it a 4-speed, but did not originally plan on changing it out. Okay. And Troy says, Steve, turn the closed caption on. At least you can read what Barry says. Well, there you go. Thumbs up from Abe. Simone, I think the Charger will be scrapped, sadly. I was thinking along the lines of how the car was constructed and that someone with the skill could repair it. Hey, they can all be repaired. All I need is a good set of door hinges, and I can build a Mustang. So it all depends how much you want to throw at it. That's what it comes down to. Julian, would have been easier to just change the time school started and left the rest of the world alone if that's the reason. That is accurate. Yes. That is very accurate. Bob, the reverse shoulder has a limited reach up range because of the design. Okay. Well, that's going to probably make Jerry stop playing volleyball. Just a thought. But I guess that would be making a very good point. That, yeah, I could see that. Good comment, Bob. Tomas. I'm going to say Tomas because it looks like Tomas Reyes. Hi, Barry and gang. Hope everyone's doing well. Tom here from California. My 70 Mustang 302. What is the best way to bleed the air out of the radiator and the motor? It should almost do it on its own, Tom. Should. But a simple way to do stuff like that is to jack up the front of the car or put it on ramps because air will go to the highest point. So once you get you get it up in the air and get the water neck at the highest point. That's the thing. I was just talking about that with somebody today who's having a problem with their later model vehicle. They feel like there's air in the system, and the problem is you get some of the hose work and different pieces on a modern vehicle may be higher than the water neck, so you have to jack it up and try to get that air to work its way to the top. So if you want to try that, that's probably an easy approach. Otherwise, what I normally do as well is if needed, I'll take the heater hoses and move them up and down and kind of get the air to try to push to a high point. So just some ideas there for you, Tom. Hope that helps. Abe, I appreciate your help. You're welcome, Abe. Wally, your 3-speed probably came with a 273 or a 303. You can go 355 for a nice whole shot, but final drive ratio will rev 1,000 RPM higher. I went from a 3-speed auto to a T5, so 355 was my target. Thank you, Wally. Good information once again from everybody out there. Make sure you get your coffee. Okay. Desert Rat. Did you ever take the Brooklyn Pony to a driver? Nope. The owner dropped the ball, and it's in storage, and I'm waiting for him to settle the bill for storage and get it out of here, get it out of my space. He basically quit sending me parts about 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years. It's been 5 years. I think it's been like 5 years. And he quit sending me parts. And I kept telling him, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. He never sent them. So that's why I said, I'm done. I can't sit here and wait for years to get parts, We had an arrangement going on, and he was supposed to provide me with all the parts. And then, I was going to install them, and I was doing all that. And then he just quit sending me parts. So I don't understand it. He's got a lot invested in that car, and, I guess he wanted to try to take advantage of me or something, but I'm done working on it. I'm just tired of it. So Don't mention Brooklyn Pony again. Just kidding. Not my fault. Simone says hi to Tom. Wally, Mr. Mickey, what axle type is on your door tag? Okay, so I think he's asking, I don't think, it's Mr. Mikey. Yeah. Mr. Mikey. What axle type is on your door tag? So good question. Let's see. Roger checking in. Better late than never. Maybe. Greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Glad you made it. Desert Rat. That's where I kind of thought it was going. Yeah. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I just, at this point, I really feel taken advantage of. You know, you make a deal, and suddenly they don't want to finish the deal. Don't want to do their part. So it's not like I could go out and buy stuff. I've already got too much invested in it as it is, in personal time and stress. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for them to, pay up the storage and get it out of here. So I don't know. Just a big thorn in my side at this point. Simone Barrett just found and liked your Facebook page. Okay, thank you, Simone. Give you a bell for that. There's tons of pictures on there. I don't know how many of you do Facebook or whatever, but I do have, I also have my Joe Daddy's Facebook page, and there are all kinds of pictures of the projects and everything that I do and whatever. So if you're interested, check it out. If not, that's okay too. And I also have Instagram and TikTok. Not very active on both of those, but I try. Desert Rat, yeah. I mean, it would have been a really cool build. And I think what really ended up happening overall, and this is just what I've my own opinion on all of this. I think it started off that he had found a company that was building these cars, basically what I was building, but it was a company, I think in Florida, and they were building brand new Mustangs and selling them for a premium, big bucks. And I think he wanted the big bucks, but he didn't want to spend the money, or wanted the big bucks car. And so as time went on, I realized that I figured out what was going on. I was just basically building the same car they were building, only they were getting $150,000 for their builds. Not me. I figured that out. Took me a while, but I figured it out. And and then of course not sending me parts and not committing, not living up to his end of the deal. Sorry, not going to do it anymore. Mixed Traffic Productions, 1971 Buick Riviera Boattail with a Plymouth Roadrunner wing and a supercharger. Okay. I guess I can see that. Okay. I'll take your word for it. A Plymouth Roadrunner wing. That would be different. Okay. Dare to be different. Why not? Oh, Accumulador. The Camaro will be back. Yes, it will be back. Right now, I've mentioned before, AMD was on the hook to provide parts for me. And, they sounded really interested. And I think they're still interested, honestly. I hope. But I haven't received anything. And then I started checking on their inventory. And they don't have any. The parts that I need, they don't have in stock. So I think that's part of the problem. And I don't know if they're getting the parts and shipping them to other suppliers like Summit Racing or any of that. I don't know. So at this point, I'm kind of just riding along and waiting to see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm going to finish building this jig for the Mustang, the 65 to 68. And ideally, if everything works out the way I have it envisioned in my mind, I'll be able to buy individual pieces. I've seen other people doing this. I'll be able to buy the frame rails, the shock mount, the transition panel, the the rear sheet metal, all that stuff. I should be able to buy all that, and if I wanted to, build my own frame, build my own floor pan system, if I wanted to. That's kind of where I'm getting towards. And also with this, I want to be able to remove pieces and parts. If it's damaged or rusted, be able to take something out and replace it with, a new piece. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything going on right now. But coming up soon, in fact, next week, might be next Monday, the Bronco might be here. And that's going to be a new bodied old Bronco that I'm going to be painting. And that, if all goes well, it should be sitting here for the live stream. Should be, but we'll find out. Other than that, after the Bronco, I will be pulling in a 69 fastback Mustang to work on. So there's plenty to go in the system, and then I'll just have to get back on the Camaro when it happens. So good question though. Mixed Traffic. An Amazon show called The Grand Tour, and it had a Riviera as I previously described. Oh, okay. I guess I haven't heard of that either. Oh, I should say, you're talking about shows. I had a conversation last week, early in the week, with a production company that was looking. They were talking about a TV show that I could maybe be part of. I have not heard back anything from them, so I'm going to assume they're not interested, which is okay. I get it. The show they were trying to put together was basically a reboot of American Restoration. So if you ever saw that show with Rick, whatever his name was, out in Vegas, that actually spawned other shows like I think Pawn Stars and Counts Customs and all that sort of thing. But I don't know if they're interested, because they were talking about having me do like restore a gas pump or a refrigerator or an old sign, stuff like that, pedal car. So I don't know if I can do that stuff, but I'd rather be welding big chunks of metal together and having fun with it. So I haven't heard anything back, and I guess I'm not going to hold my breath. Let's see. Mr. Mikey says to Wally, I don't know. A previous owner said it leaked just as wet on outside as on inside. It had been slinging oil for quite a while. Okay. Well, again, like I was saying, we were talking about these numbers. If you were in a kind of a flat area, not a lot of hills, you may want to consider a lower number on your gear ratio. Because like they were saying, 355 is pretty aggressive for driving down the highway. Pretty aggressive. Robert, Grand Tour is Clark's. Is it Clarkson, Hammond, and May after? Oh, Grand Tour is Clarkson, Hammond, and May after they left Top Gear. Okay. Yes, Top Gear was very entertaining when those guys were on there. It was very entertaining. After that, Top Gear just kind of went completely off the rails. I don't watch that at all. Let's see. Robert, you beat me to it. Talked about Simone, and Robert says I stopped watching when they left Top Gear. Yeah, I think when they made them leave Top Gear is how it worked out. Wally says to Mr. Mikey, sorry to hear again. You can absolutely move to a 355, but just beware. In third gear on the highway, your RPM will be higher. If you only drive a quarter mile at a time, you'll be fine. Yep. Robert, I stopped watching Top Gear when they left. Yeah. And Mr. Mikey, Nebraska is flat. South Texas, not so much. Yeah, but is it really that hilly? Just saying. I don't know. I don't know how bad it is. But I know here in Georgia, we do have hills and stuff. It's not bad at all. But Jade with the 310 gear seems to do just fine with that. So anyway, um, so what's everybody else been working on? I know Jerry's got his engine coming together, and I don't know if Wally has. I don't know if I've seen any videos from Wally lately. I know he's. I think the Mustang, his convertible is done. I think. I know Robert has talked about getting back onto his since the weather's getting better. So hopefully that happens soon. He can start putting out more videos. I haven't heard from Grease Rookie Garage in a while either, and I don't know if he's just not doing anything or if he has moved on. Because I know he was talking about doing a later model, Mach 1 or something, like a 71 or something like that. So I don't know if he's still doing that or not. I had messaged him a couple weeks ago, and just really haven't seen anything. Simone, very hilly where I am. The Cortina does not like them. Yeah, I'll bet. Four-cylinder engine would rather have a little more oomph. 68 Orange Crate, considering replacing a repaired full rear quarter panel. What is your opinion of Dynacorn? Is there a better aftermarket? I can't say that one. I really can't say if Dynacorn is better than any others. I really can't. I have not had any new Dynacorn sheet metal in a while, so I can't say for sure. Some others may have some input on that. I know there's been various cars put together, but you're considering replacing a repaired full rear quarter panel. The panels I used on Jade were from Mustangs Unlimited, but I know they're not around anymore. But they were not Dynacorn. They were some other. I don't even remember what the name is. But if anybody else has any input on that, by all means, let them know. I know when I look at these, and this is the challenge. Like, I really liked having Mustangs Unlimited an hour away from me, hour whatever it is, hour and a half, because I could go and put my hands on the panels and go, okay, I like this one, I don't like that one, blah blah blah, move on. And there are variables that come into play on these, like some of them don't have the correct stampings, which we all know. What I look for is on the bottom of the quarter panels. Usually it comes down and joggles back up and then flattens out. I look for that. Now I've seen other ones where it just kind of curves under. It's not correct, but it works. So, I know we've talked about this. There's usually only like one or two real manufacturers out there, and they may make panels for Dynacorn that go in a Dynacorn box, and they may make the CJ Pony Classic that goes in the CJ Pony Classic box. I don't know for sure. I know Robert has voiced an opinion on several of these before with different companies out there. So, good question. Anybody else have an input for that? Let me know. Robert says collecting parts and materials. Parts run this week too. Good. Car guy Troy. Checking in, still working on my 67 Mustang convertible. One of them, that is. Okay. It's funny. I was going through my phone. I had like 50 notifications for text messages. And I know a lot of them were like, this is your passcode for blah, blah, blah. This is your whatever. All these little passcodes and stuff, which I appreciate. That's a good thing. And I was starting to scan through them, and I was like, okay, who is this person? And I was, we had a guy, he was on here before, Winged Warrior, Dave. And I was looking at some of his stuff, and I messaged him today. And then there was another one that had sent me pictures of a frame jig from like a year ago. And I was like, oh, check that out. So I'm looking at the pictures on that, and I'm realizing I'm kind of doing the same thing they're doing with their jig system. So sometimes you have to do that. You got to go through your phone and get rid of stuff or figure out who's who and what's what. Let's see, Larry, my 69 Torino got a Holley Sniper and finally got legal tags. Well, that's a plus. And I'm sure you probably have the only 69 Torino in Japan. I would hope so. That'd be my guess. Busted Knuckle Garage, 1966 Mustang, and a 59 Chevy Impala 4-door hardtop. Those have become quite popular. I saw an article, it was online, something. I don't know if it was Motor Trend or something. And somewhere out in the Midwest, this guy had been collecting 59 and 60 Chevy Impalas. And he was collecting these things for years, and he would have two-door hardtops, convertibles, four-doors, station wagons. Apparently he had a whole lot full of these things and decided to start selling them. And the article pointed out that there was a two-door hardtop there, and these cars looked like they were in fantastic condition. Obviously needed interior and all that sort of thing, but the bodies were in fantastic condition. And I don't remember exactly. I was thinking these things were selling for like 50 to 80 grand for these cars, and they needed, redone, but you can't find them anymore. So four-door hardtop may not be on the top of the list for those, but that's still, I like the hardtop of it. So that's pretty cool. Desert Rat, I started watching your channel back when you did the 55 truck, way back. Always like your content. Semi-retired now, so I will be back. Awesome. I see I'm assuming a 55 truck in your little thumbnail there. Cool. And thank you for continuing to watch. Robert Greaserookie has been really busy with work and home life. If he wasn't so far, I'd grab his 65 for a project car. Well, was he talking about selling that car? You talking about the Iron 6? Or is it just sitting? Is that what you're saying? Car Guy Troy, I used all new Dynacorn on his 66 I put back together. Everything new but the A-pillars and the windshield frame, was super happy with them. Okay. And that was on the 67, right? I assume you said 66, sorry. On a 66. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That is good to know. Simone, I need to get more ramps and a car cover gazebo so I can work in relative comfort when I move the car. I can also focus on my Kawasaki as I will have space. That sounds like a good plan. I like it. Jerry, the last Dynacorn panel was stamped in Taiwan, a fender, and required adjustment in length. Otherwise, Dynacorn is usually pretty good quality. Okay. The last one you bought, you're saying. Okay. Thank you, Jerry. I know that when I was working on the convertible, I had bought Dynacorn fenders, and I pointed out specifically in the video that the fenders, there were just the black EDP coated fenders. And the box was the same as any other box out there, except where it had the company name that would have been whoever. They'd put Dynacorn stickers on the box. That's it. Just Dynacorn stickers. And they said they were Dynacorn. I guess technically they fall under the Dynacorn umbrella, but they were really just the same as any other fender out there. So I don't know. That was years ago. I don't know if they've actually started doing any of their own production, but I don't know. Robert, Muscle Car GT stuff is generally pretty good. They make the Dynacorn stuff, but it's hard to find out from the sellers what they're selling, as they don't like to tell you. Yes. So Mustang Muscle Car GT. So Abe, my backyard is looking like a junkyard. I sold my 65, then saw a 66 Mustang on Craigslist that I couldn't pass up. My wife thinks I'm crazy. Oh, no. No, she doesn't. Well, I have 4 Mustangs. Currently 4 Mustangs that are mine. And one is taking up space that needs to go away. It's not mine, and I don't care if I ever see it or touch it or work on it again, because I won't. Just saying. Michael Pagliarini, I have the driver's side floor pan pre-fit. Pan is sitting on the floor support and tranny cross members now. No more 1/4-inch gaps. However, I have to rebuild the rear spring pocket. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad some of it's working out. And I don't know, was it you that messaged me about the measurements? I get so many different messages and emails and whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Michael, yeah, it shows we were doing the floor pan setup. Yes. Glad it worked out. Glad it worked out. I still have one more I have to get to tonight. Um, I had somebody asking me for some measurements on the who was it? I don't have to find it again, but it was measurements for the hood adjustment, uh, the bump stops. They were trying to get an idea of how tall the bump stops were. So I still have to take care of that yet tonight too. Abe says it's my way of having fun. Yeah. Well, me, it's all about. It's kind of like I don't know, like therapy for me to be working on stuff. Like this whole thing with the jig. Ooh, man, I'm loving this because my brain is going and working things out, and I just really enjoy figuring stuff out like that. And as I said before, I usually don't draw stuff up. I've been making drawings and posting it online, and trying to, if people are interested, maybe it'll help them if they're looking to do something similar. But anyway, let's see. Busted Knuckle, I saw that also very high prices. Mine needs a lot of work. Yeah, most of them do. Most of them do. Grease Rookie Parts Car. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the one up at the farm. Sorry. I had forgot about that one. Simone, almost 1 a.m. now. I'm heading to sleep. Good night, everyone. Good night, Simone. Glad you were here. Get some rest. 68 Orange Crate. Copy all. Thanks, guys. Okay. Okay. Again, don't forget to vote tomorrow. I'm just enjoying my coffee. But as I was saying, with the frame jig thing, it's I don't know if a lot of people like to do stuff like that, but for me, it really allows ideas to bounce around, and I've bounced ideas off of Robert, I've bounced ideas off of Roger, and being able to get feedback and input and share those ideas is really awesome. It's really awesome because a lot of times, I may have an idea that I think is good, and then I bounce it off of Roger, and he's like, maybe this, maybe that, and then we kind of weave our way to a good answer. And I've shown him, and I've shown Robert I don't have the drawing with me right now, the idea for the rear perch that'll be on the shackles that I talked about earlier. And what I think is kind of fun with that, like if you're ever around tooling and you see how another jig system or something is made, and a lot of times they'll make stuff that you can put different pieces on. So you might like have a center structure, and just thinking like whenever we would paint panels at the body shop, we had a thing called the bumper thingy. That's what it was called, the bumper thingy. That was the trade name. And it was designed to where you could adjust the length of it, you could tilt it, you could set it upright so that you could put like a urethane bumper on it, plastic bumper for a modern vehicle, and have it sit in the proper plane for paint purposes, or you could angle it so it aimed down so you could sand on it and be aggressive with it and be able to, prep that sort of thing. So things like that, you kind of inventory that. At least I do in my mind. I keep stuff like, how did that work? And what did you do to change this or do that? There was also panel things that we could hang doors from. So it had hooks that came out, and you could hang a door, and you could adjust the location of those on the pole system. So if you didn't have a hole that lined up with the door, you could adjust one up or one down or whatever, and set your door at the proper angle again so that you could paint and it would look correct. There was another one for a hood. Same kind of deal. You could stand it up or you could lay it down. So those things are great to have, but like my space is limited, so I really know that I probably can't have all that stuff. But I use ideas like that whenever I'm trying to do like this frame jig. It's just um, it's nice to incorporate these things. So like the rear mount system I'm going to have, it's it's gonna act on a pivot point. I'll have to show you that, but it'll come later on, and I think it's going to work out really well. Michael, thank you by the way for taking the time to help me out. So many things have to be replaced because of all the hack work done by the last owner. That, unfortunately, is a pretty common problem. Um, and I'm not here to. There's another YouTuber out there. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name names. Not going to do it. I saw a video where he recently bought a 65 or 6 Mustang. And he was talking about it, and he said it's going to be a driver. And he rebuilds cars. He does really nice work. But he said it's going to be a driver. And I was like, okay. And he was talking about how, he bought the thing and blah, 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 blah. It was a V8 automatic. And it was rough. It was a rough car. And somebody had done shade tree bodywork on it. Like the quarters were rusted, bottom of the quarters were rusted off, and they had just packed them with Bondo and painted it and made it, sellable. And apparently he's going to redo the same thing. And I was really hurt by that. Just saying. I mean, I don't understand why he would do that. I can't justify doing that, even if it's a daily driver. Knowing that the proper repair is to put sheet metal back in those areas and make it solid again. And he was actually saying that he was going to knock out the old Bondo and pile more Bondo in it to refinish it. And I'm just like, why would you do that? I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of insulting in a way. I mean, and granted, he does some really cool work with the other cars, replaces all this and does a great job. But even if it's a daily driver, why not do it right? Why not do it right? Nobody says you have to spend $100,000 on this thing, but fix the quarter panel. Fix the holes in the fender. Don't cover it up. To me, that's telling people the wrong thing. It's just telling the people, and I really don't get it. I don't understand why he's doing that. So, I'm going to get off my little step stool right now. Rick, if I had the space, I'd get a Dynacorn shell and build it all on my own, including paint, just to see how good a legally blind guy could do. Hey, I mean, that would be great. That would be great. And Rick says it wouldn't be great, but it would be a conversation piece. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be a conversation. Sorry. Wally, I agree on so I must be something missing. Rick, guy in a forum had NOS quarters for 65 66 for $900 each. If I could find the post and not gone, I buy just to hold on to. I don't even know if I could justify that cost. Because granted, yes, they're NOS, I get it, but most of the repop stuff is kind of close enough. Really, but I couldn't justify $900 for a quarter panel. Unless it was going on some kind of very unique 65 or 6 that would have made sense, but just kind of difficult to justify that. Robert, my body work isn't the best, but I am much happier with what I do than what I see at many car shows where people spend lots to have shoddy work done and they don't realize how bad it was done. Yes, I can't emphasize that enough. Roger can tell you if we go to a car show, he's even like, you've ruined it for me. I'm like, yeah, well, if you got a gap that you can stick your hand through, Something ain't right. Something ain't right. And the color, it kills me. The worst offense to me is not painting the panels correctly. Like, I get it. You're painting them separately. I get it. I do. I really do. But I've shown, like, especially on these Mustangs, how you can attach the extensions and paint them to where everything matches. And then when you put it all together, look at that. Everything flows correctly and it looks good. And I've seen it so many times. There's a quarter extension that they lay flat on a panel or a board or whatever and paint it, and the metal flake is all wrong. It's in the wrong direction. And you put that up on there, and you've got flake flowing this way on one and flowing this way on the other, and it just stands out, and the color doesn't match, and it just drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. But I get it, but I can't live with it. Car Guy Troy, weird if the guy's going to spend the time. Why not do the metalwork instead of just mud it up? That's what I'm saying. It's, and he's got the skills. It's not like he's doing something out of the ordinary. It just, it just pained me to watch that. That introduction video, I was like, what? What? No. So I'm wondering if he's actually going to do that. If he's going to sit there and just slap some junk on it and tell everybody this is a cheap, easy way to do it. I sure hope not. Because in my opinion, he should be losing viewers for that. He should be. Just my thoughts. Julian, I have a frame jig adjustable for height, width, and length attached at each end to a rotisserie. If I can, I'll send you a photo adjustable for about any body, locks every 10 degrees. That sounds awesome. And I've talked about my reasoning for what I'm doing for my jig setup. Primarily, I'm doing it for the 65 to 68 Mustang. Now, I don't know what is different with a 69. I know something is slightly different. I don't know exactly what that is. Now, will I be able to use this setup for a 69? Maybe. I might have to tweak something to make it happen. But I'm not worried about building a jig for anything else. I think right now my bread and butter on the video circuit is Mustangs. I can do the Camaro. I can do just about anything. But it seems like the bulk of my stuff is going to be Mustangs. So that's why I want to focus on that. And honestly, if I could build my own floor pans and stuff and maybe sell them, maybe. I know they'd have to be right on the money, though, for me to sell them. They would have to be just right, because I wouldn't let something go out that I knew wasn't going to fit a car. But anyway, just kind of how my approach is. But I wouldn't mind seeing the pictures of it. So if you want to send me a picture, the email's at the bottom of the screen. JoeDaddy'sGarage@gmail.com. So if you get a chance, go ahead and send that. Wally, I agree on the patch job. Very irregular of him. Yeah, I don't get it. I just don't. Please don't do that. That was something that would have been done in the 70s or 80s just to make it shiny and get it out the door. Nobody does that anymore. Roger, it is a curse, but I'm really not complaining. Yeah, it's a curse. I know it's a curse. That's why I don't know if they would ever want me to be a judge at a car show. I really don't, because they may not like what they get for feedback. I'm not trying to be rude or whatever, but it's just, this is what I see. If I see flaws in the paint, or I see flaws in the body, or I see, all these different things, because it's tough. It is tough to try to make sure everything it looks, and for anybody to make it look right, it is tough. Now, there's a difference between, in my opinion, what you're going to build as a show car and a driver. The driver, it's fine. It can have if it has flaws, that's fine. But I know for me, even my driver, I'm trying to make a show car because I'm so picky. I can't let something just go. But anyway, I think you all know that by now. Jerry, good evening to all. See you next week. Okay, thank you for being here, Jerry. Hope you get fully recovered with the shoulder operation. Busted knuckle. 65 to 60 Mustang measurements are different from the 67 to 68. They are, but the floor pans are the same. So if you look up the floor pan replacement from Dynacorn now, they sell a floor pan and it's 65 to 68. The only difference that I've found in those is the transmission, the tunnel cross member that goes over top of the transmission. On the 65 and 6, it's like 2.5 inches. On the 67-8, it's like 3.25 or something. It's wider. Otherwise, it's the same. Everything I understand is the same. So, but the body exterior wise, everything's slightly different. You're right. Rick, quarter panels on the car you were describing sound like those which were on my 66 coupe. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was not pretty to see, and the suggestion. Lynn, I know the video you're referring to. He said he has a $7,000 budget to repair the car. $7,000? Okay. Then there shouldn't be any Bondo in that car anywhere. No. Nope. Not justifiable. Car guy, I have one 67 convertible on a stand jig that helped me a lot on the new front floor supports and torque boxes. Door floor braces were a must too with no top. Yeah, I'm sure. And like I was saying before, on this setup that I'm doing, it's kind of I'm doing something different. So many of you look at a jig system, and it's usually something that sits on the floor or sits on bracing of some sort, takes up space, and what do you do with it? If you have a 5,000 square foot shop, well, it's not a big deal. If you got a 900 square foot shop, then it's a big deal. And that's why I'm using the boat trailer. I know I can pull it out of here and put it outside and not worry about it. So, anyway, if I had a huge shop, I would have a more dedicated jig system, but I don't. Let's see. Car guy Troy, your videos helped me with all the work I've done. Kudos to you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Robert, I wish I had 7,000 lying around for the 66. If I did, it would be done really fast. I'm with you. 7,000, that goes a long way. Covers a lot of ground. Mr. Mikey, talking to Wally, the axle code was 0 in the 67 coupe. So somebody will also have to pull that up and give him an answer as to what the 0 means on the gear ratio, because I don't have that in front of me. But I have coffee. So I think about times where I've done work on cars that were done in the 80s, like in particular the 69 Camaro that we did at the body shop years ago. There were the thickness on the side of that car, the Bondo. I don't think I have a picture of that anymore. At one point, it was like a half-inch thick. I just couldn't believe it. And the owner, he thought the car was all good metal. He thought it was solid. Now, and this is this car. And that car, I had to put quarter panels on, tail panel. I think I rebuilt some of the trunk floor. But everything else was pretty good. And the car was actually on display at Summit Racing, I think last year, which is pretty cool. But he thought the car was in fantastic shape. I don't know if he ever really tested it. Like, first thing I do when I go up to a car is I knock on a panel, I want to hear that tinny sound. I want to hear tin. I don't want to hear what sounds like a piece of wood, you know, because it just tells you right there that it's full of mud. So anyway, but he thought he had a really really cool car, and it was. I mean, it's a cool car, but we ended up having to cut everything off and put it back together. So, Car Guy Troy, I get you on space tuning everything in a 2-car garage, which is a half a car garage at the moment. Yeah, yeah. I know that. What I like about this, I think I may have said it. I don't know if I mentioned it. I was worried about the arms on this jig thing that I'm building, the trailer or the lift arms getting in the way of getting it off the out of the out of that space. And now that I've got the front system built, I realized I can swing the arms out and be able to manipulate the trailer and be able to get. I won't have to take the arms off the lift, is what I'm getting at. So I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. That was kind of a bonus. And also, I don't know if I've shown the pictures on Facebook. The the really cool part is how well this trailer lines up with the mount points in the rear of the Mustang. The rear cross member, I'm going to be able to go on the inside of that with 2-inch square tubing and just weld it. And I think it's going to line up almost dead on with the jig hole that I was talking about. The next cross member forward, it was dead on the front spring mount. I mean, it was right on the money. And then coming forward, where the A-pillars are that I'm going to add, side extensions or side supports, the trailer actually, that's where it tapers. It's right in the right location. And then because of all that tapering, it tucks in underneath the front suspension. And I have probably maybe 2 feet sticking out in front of the core support. Now, I may just leave that. And I've talked about it that I may want to, take that out and remove it to inside of the dimensions of the car. But honestly, it may work out to be a good step point or something like that I can use. So it's working out really well. Wally, Mr. Mikey, sorry I did not show a 0 for 67 axle type, 1 to 6 or A to E for limited slip. Okay. So maybe that's interesting. I don't have a good answer on that then. But usually what you can do is go to just Google 68 Mustang VIN decoder or 67 Mustang VIN decoder. And it'll break down all of those numbers for you. And then your door tag, it'll tell you the paint code and all those different things. So if you get a chance, just Google it up and maybe it'll help you with that. Doyle, I know all about a car filled with Bondo, as you know. Yes. Yeah, and it's... I remember, I've seen cars come in that we had at the body shop would come in with newspaper. That was the thing. They would take newspaper and stuff it into the quarter panel and just start applying Bondo on top of it. And then whenever they had it all filled, they would reach inside and maybe pull out most of that newspaper from the inside. A lot of times they just didn't care. It could be a rocker panel. They would stuff it full of newspaper and then just start putting Bondo on top of it, forcing it in there to hang on. And then just build it. Go, okay, it's all done. It's restored. Yeah, no. Mr. Mikey says, my Chilton book said the same thing. Okay. Lynn, I might be missing something. Can't you just spot weld bracing in instead of making a jig? You probably could, but I have multiple things in mind for this. So making the jig, I can should be able to take any future any 65 to 68 Mustang and set it right on that jig and know where things are. If I'm doing some spot weld bracing, um, it may not be structurally strong enough for what I want to do. Secondly, by building it the way I'm doing, I can take this car out of here. Like if I wanted to go get it media blasted or something, I could actually drive it to that location, let them blast it on the trailer jig, bring it back, and it's still where it was. It's not like I'm having to do multiple things. So that's kind of some of my ideas. Also, because of the way I'm building it, like if I wanted to work on a suspension or if I wanted to pull a frame rail or any of those sort of things, I can probably do all that. I mean, I know I can. Um, and I want the challenge. You know, I've said it before. I like to be challenged, and trying to come up with an idea for a mobile frame jig. I don't know that anybody's ever done that before. I haven't seen one. Not like this. Not like this. I've seen cars on trailers taken to shows for display purposes like this, but not as a purposeful jig. So, yeah. Hope that makes sense. Wally says, I'm guessing you have to crack it to find out for sure. Since it is leaking, you got to do it anyway. It will be interesting to find out. Yeah. And, of course, you could do the old school, put a mark on the drive shaft, put a mark on the drum, and then rotate and count and do the math. Would get you close. But otherwise, you're going to count ring gear teeth and pinion teeth. And then again, do the math, figure out what's going on. So, okay, all right. I'm getting to a point where I'm hungry. This time change is messing us all up. Yeah, good point. Yes, thank you, Wally. This time change is messing us all up. So, fall back an hour. It's really in our my clock is saying it's after 9 o'clock. My internal clock. So. I'm going to call it a night and get in the house and get some food. But it's been fun. It's been interesting. I'm hoping, well, hold on just a second. Car Guy Troy Peterson does what looks like an amazing job without a jig. He has all the measurements. He's a pro. I'm not. I like the jig, and it was kind of fun. And it was kind of fun to build. I'm see the world practice. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for that, Car Guy, Troy. But anyway, we'll be back this coming Monday night, next Monday, and hopefully the Bronco is sitting here, so we can take a look at that as well. But that'll be it for tonight. Thanks for being here, and get some work done on your projects. But until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.